Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Gittin Daf Samach Tes. We are going to begin on the very bottom of Samach Ches Beis, which discusses different illnesses and various remedies. We are 5 lines from the bottom. Ladama Dereisha, person who has this issue with their head. Lacy Shurvina, person should bring cedar or hopwood. Uvina and willow, va'asa and myrtle. Rashi's uvina is a rave, again it's a rava, which is willow, va'asa and myrtle, and dara v'zesa v'chilfa, and you should take also olives and cloves, v'chilfe deyama v'yivla. Chivla di Yomas brought down on so-and-so laws, and V'yivla, Rashi is a min asev, you take some type of grass, you're taking all these different things. V'lish lukinhu bahadi adadi, you should cook it together, all these things. V'lin toil tlas me'akase, ahai gisa, and you should take literally 300 cups on one side, the reisha in your head, and the 300 on the other side of your head. Below, if you don't do this, then lacy varda chivra. A person should take a white flower, dekoi b'chad dara, where their leaves are on only one side of this rose. V'lishkling, cook that. V'lintel shitin kase hagisa, and take 60 on one side, the ratio of your head, v'shisin kasi ha'gisa, the ratio, and 60 on the other side of the head. Regarding litzlichta, someone who has a migraine, significant headache, so lacy tarnagoyla bara, you should take this tarnagoyla bara, which is why maybe we brought this down, which is the chupriberg, which was guarding this shmira worm. V'lishchate bezuza chivra, and you should slaughter it bezuza chivra, like a white coin. Hu gisa dechayivle, and on this side of the headache is where you should do it. When is daher middamei, you should be careful that's blood. Dolo saminhu nei, so it shouldn't blind his eyes. V'lislei b'sipa de baba, and he should place it by the doorpost. The chi'ayil, that when he enters chayif bay, he'll be able to rub by it. V'chi nafik chayif bay, and then when he goes by the doorpost, when he enters or when he exits, he'll be able to rub on it. Obviously, a lot of these things that we're going to see throughout this next daf are things which perhaps were remedies, maybe they are remedies still, as we continue to Sabach Testament Aleph. When it comes to livrukti, Rashi says, Choyli shiba'oyin, some type of illness of the eye, Lesi akrava, you should take a scorpion to shave chumre, which is spotted with 7 spots. It says Rashi, menumer b'sheva givanim, like 7 different colors, machma zikna, because it's older. On the yavshe batula, you should have it put by the shade. Says Rashi that it shouldn't be connected to the sun. V'nishchay tarte menasa koichala, and you should grind it up. Two koichal v'chadam menasa minei. Says Rashi shnei chalakim choil. 2 portions should be choil. V'chelak echad mimenu. So that's the proportion of what it should be. Umali tlasa again 3 mach l'chei b'hayena, in this eye. Utlasa mach l'chei b'hayena, and 3 you put into the other eye. Says Rashi, hu kanaf of o kaf rachav. It is some like a kaf rachav, like a wide spoon. Tfei lo mali, but you shouldn't do more. If not, paka ene, could actually burst your eye. So too much is not good. Shavrire delayla, someone who has blindness from the night. Says Rashi, Sanverim habayis al adam ulayla, a blindness that comes to a person at night. So Nesi Shudra Barka, person should take this, Rashi says, a chevel, a rope, shall sayer behema, an animal, or vishel zanav susupara, or the hair of the tail of a horse or a cow, the neser chade karamine, and you should tie one side of it, the chad kara mikalba, you should put the other side on by a dog's foot. Says Rashi, Yikshir echad meraglov, v'reglov hakela b'sheni roshi achevel. V'nitrafu yenuke chaspa, a child should bang an earthen pot, earthenware, a basrei, after it. V'leimrulin, you should say this following lachash, this following incantation. Asa kalba, you old dog, achsa tarnagoyl, you deranged tarnagoyl, veligve shave umse, and you should be veligve shave umse, that you should take, Rashi says, chatichos basar, 7 pieces of meat, meshiva bate, from 7 different homes, v'esvinhu nihile b'tzinur, the dashan, put it by the doorpost, v'nechlinhu b'kilkule damasa, and then you could eat it by the garbage heap. Fine. Rashi says kilkule is ashbois, by the garbage. Basar hachi, afterwards, lifshait shudra, a person should untie this knot, barka, v'leimer hachi, and you should say the following: Shavrire diploini bar plonisa, the blindness of this particular person, shavkinhu leploini bar plonisa, v'lecharu lekalba, let it blow to this dog, biva visa de'ene, by the pupil of its eye. Says Rashi, bivamas enoi. Okay. Regarding the shavrire diyoima, someone who has blindness of the day, leisi shivat sumke, person should take 7, Rashi says, tchailim, 7 spleens, migava dechevasa, from a white animal, the nitvinhu, and you should roast it, a chaspa de umna, on a earthenware vessel in which blood letters let blood with. V'leisid ihu bigavoy, and you should stay within, v'inish achrina b'avroi, and someone else from the outside, v'lei mulei, and you should say, avira havli de'echol. So that's the person who is blind should say havli de'echol. V'lei mulei heich pasicha sav echol. You should say sit. Ubaser de'achel litbere l'chaspa. And then afterwards you should break the kli. The ilah, if he doesn't break it, hadre ilui, the blindness will return. Regarding ladama de'asi minchira, that blood that comes from the nose, leisi gaver kayin deshmei levi, you should get someone who is a kayin by the name of Levi, v'lichtav levi mafreya, and you should write levi mafreya, retroactive. The ilo leisi inish ba'alma, take some other guy v'lichtav le and write instead. Don't write levi mafreya. Write ana papi shila bar sumki, which is some type of a lachash. Again, lamafreya. The ilo, if you don't do that, nichtav le hachi. Write this: tam dali b'mei kesef, that this bucket is in silver. Again, it's some type of a lachash. Rashi says, tam dali b'mei pagam, that this bucket is being tainted, like pagam. Below, if you don't do that, lacy ikra the aspasta, take a root from aspastus, v'ashla the puria atika, and you should put it with a rope by the bed. V'kurtisa umarike, says Rashi, or kurtisa nair shel moichin. You have this type of rag, the sumka de leva, and this red lulav, this palm tree. V'nishkalinhu b'hadi adadi, and v'nikalinhu b'hadi adadi. You should take them all together. So Rashi says the reason why lulav is it's davar eldoim hagadol lulav, this redness that grows there. You put it all together. V'leisi gavava de amra, and you should take a ball of wool. V'nigdoil tarti pasilasa, and you should twist it with 2 wicks of wool. V'litmish b'chala, and you should soak it with vinegar. Rashi says yasher b'chaimetz. V'nigdabel b'kitma hadain, and you should roll it with ashes. V'nesiv bin chire, and then you should put it into your nostril, so that will somehow cause the bleeding to stop. V'ilo, if you don't do that, lexi amasamayim, you should go to water. The azlas memizrach klapimar, that goes from the east toward the west. V'niftsa v'nekum, you should step over it. Chad kara, 1 foot l'haygisa. V'chad kara l'haygisa, and 1 foot on the other side. V'nishkal tina biyadeh, you should take mud in your hand. The amina mitute kara, the right one under the foot. The smole of the left. Uviyadeh the smile mitute kara the amina, and the left hand should be under the foot of the right. The nigdoil tarti pasilasa de amra, and you should twist these 2 woolen wicks. The nitmish betina, you should put it with, again, this mud. The nasiv bin chire, and place it in your nostril, and again that will somehow stop the bleeding. V'ilo, if you don't do that, then lesiv tote marzava, and you should go underneath a gutter. V'nesu mayin, let the water come. V'lishnu alei v'lemer kihe, you should say kihechi de paski hanimaya, just like this water stopped. Lifsik demei de plani bar planisa, the blood should also stop from me. Now, regarding wadam de asim apuma, when it comes to blood that's coming from the mouth, so in this situation, but kinan le begila de chitta, what you're supposed to do is examine it with a straw which is made out of wheat. So it's like this: isarech, if it sticks to the straw, then we know that this blood which is coming from your mouth is mereik asi. It's coming from your lungs. The isle takanta, and therefore there's something you can do about it. There's a way you could actually be healed. The ilo, if it's not sticking to the straw, then mikav de kaasi, v'leisle takanta, then it's coming instead from your liver. And unfortunately, if it's coming from your liver, that's more problematic. And there isn't a takana. So we're going to see these are simani treifa. We see only a treifa regarding there's an issue by the liver, not as much by the lungs. Now, even though we're going to see apparently the lungs are less problematic than than the liver. We actually learn the opposite. You're telling me that if the blood comes from the lungs, okay, it's not so bad. But if the blood is coming from the liver, then there's no takana. We know that nitel hakabed, if let's say, again, these are simani treifa, that if it's taken the liver, v'nishtarim and klum, and there's nothing left, hareya shenikva o shechasra. However, when it comes to a lung, it's even if there's just a nekev, even if there's a hole in the lung, that's enough. So what do we see? That it's only a treifa if the entire liver is out. However, when it comes to lungs, even if the lungs are there, all there is just a hole. It's considered to be a treifa. So how could you tell me that if you figure out that the blood is coming from the liver, it's worse than coming from the lungs? We see it's not true. So Amalei Kivan Dikipume Kasi. We have to understand that since the blood is coming from the mouth, Aimer maybe will say Ismuchi Ismach, that the liver has already dissolved. Says Rashi, Kula Kabda. Lunishtar him in a klum. The Naful Areya der Kineh Kaved. So the fact that it's coming from your mouth may be an indicator that the entire lung is damaged. The entire liver is damaged or dissolved. Omer Mar, Imareya Kasi Isay Takanta. So my Takante. What is the Takana if the blood is coming from your lungs? So Lacey Shiva Kune, you should take six fistfuls mi pirma desikta, which Rashi says comes from tiradim, from beets. The Shiva Kune pirma de carte, and 7 fistfuls of leek. V'chamisha kune preda, and 5 different types. Rashi says min asev, some type of herb that comes from grass. Utwasa kune de talpeche, and 3 fistfuls of lentils. V'kuna de kamona, v'kuna de chavle. So again, you take all these different things. The kenegdan kanta patirta, and connected it, you should take a fat of an animal. Rashi says shel behema shoysa peter rechem leima levashel, to cook it, leichel lishti, to eat and drink, a basrei afterwards, to eat it, and then lishti basrei shechur, to drink afterwards beer which is charif, sharp, which in the month de teves. Fine. So lakacha, regarding someone who has issues with their teeth, Amarav Huna, Lacey Tuma Yechida, the person should take this unique, specific garlic, the Nimrse b'mishcha, and you should grind b'mishcha, you should grind it with salt, umilcha, with oils and salt, v'nesve atafrai de ilyaina, the hugisa de kaivle, and you should put on the upper fingernail, and he should put it by the area in which it is bothering him. Unahaderle get danfa, and then he should surround it with a ring delisha, veliz daher lebisre de kashe lechayoira. But you should be careful that he shouldn't get it on his basar, that he shouldn't touch any part of his body, because that could cause chivra, Rashi is saras. Fine. What happens with l'chinche, a person who has some type of blisters? Rashi is ababuos, hagdela begoyrin, they grow by the throat. So Rabbi Yochanan chumse kimamru. So he says that when it comes, you have leaves that are bitter. The ikara de chumse adif mimararu. The truth is, its root is even better than the herb. V'ninkoit bepume, put in your mouth. So hani ukume, and this is a way to at least maintain the illness from the blisters getting worse. Levshule, if you cook it, lacey pare deresh nafya, you should take this type of bran, the talpachem ba'afraihu, and lentils together with its dust. Vishuv lilta, and fenugreek, the chumrasa de keshkusa, and also hops, the ninkite ke'amguza bepume, and you should put it like an egois, like a nut, into your mouth. Okay. Now what happens if we have tuche? If tuche is another illness, these are blisters that are opened up blisters. So linpach lechavre, Rash says you should have it put into your mouth, be growing into your throat. Rashi says tachle chivarta, this white cress, says Rashi shu cholul, that it's like straw. The yachne zera hashachayim masaychay b'roshachat. So Rashi says begila the chitta, with this straw-like wheat. Lasuke, to heal the flesh, lesi afra matula the besakiste. He should take earth, which was in the shaded area of a bathroom. V'nigboil bidubsha, and you should knead it out with honey. V'nechel demalile, that'll be good for him. With barsain, Rashi says it's a chayli, it's a sickness for who ba min haroish derech hachaytim. It comes from the head through the mouth, through the nose. So says the Gemara, leisi ki pistika. You should take a measurement, a shear, dinishtor. Says Rashi, kashir galnat shel erez of cedar wood. V'chi amguza dechel benisa duv shenisa. And you should take this like sweet milk-like substance and honey. Umali tarvada duv shechivra. And you should put a spoonful of this honey on the spoon. Umali natla bas mechayza chamra nikida. And you should fill it up with a kli, which also has with white wine. And cook it together. Bashal nishtor, and that when a person does this cooking, bashali kulish, cook the whole thing. The ilo, if you don't do that, leisi reviasa the chalava, then you should take. So Rashi says the bashal, you should cook the whole thing. Zesimin yelach kishiyavashal, when you cook it, hanishdor habiyadur shashar simonim amoshol afishu kasha. V'lo leisi reviasa the chalava, you should take a revias of milk. The Iza from a goat, chivarti, which is a white goat, as we continue to Samach Tesama base. Vinitayafe atlos kalche karava. And you should let it drip down on these stalks. So actually says, shloisha kilche krub of cabbage in a kli. V'nivchashe bigavza de mar mehin. They should stir it up. Rashi says yagis as there. You should stir up this pot with this type of wood that it's called mar mehin. V'chi bashel, and when it's cooked, gavza de mar mehin bashale kule. Again, you should cook the whole thing. Below lesi nafke de kal b'chivra. You should take the nafke, the waist of a white dog, the nigboil benatva, and it should be kneaded together. V'kamad esher nafka lo nechol de mifrik, and as much as possible not to eat, because that can make a person sick. Says Rashi, lo yoichel soas hakalavim, because obviously that can make a person sick. Lagira, someone who has a sickness, Rashi is just chayli, which doesn't say exactly what the sickness is, so and so laws. So leisi gira delilta, you should take a arrow, right, a chet shel lilas, v'nifche, and turn the arrow around, v'nishte mayule, and pour water on it, v'nishte, and drink it. V'ilo leisi mamaya de ishti minai, you should take from the water that you drank from. Kalba belela, a dog at night. V'nizdaher bigluya, you should be careful that it shouldn't be water that was uncovered. And Rashi says shahayu b'makam she'nachash matzoi, to be careful again, there could be venom in it. So ligluya, regarding this illness, anpaka dechamra chaya, you should take this white undiluted wine. Lamursa, says Rashi, kaloig, in absence, anpaka dechamra b'ahala tolana. Then you should take this wine, which is used with aloe, this red aloe. Lapircha deliba, someone who has a fluttering of the heart. Rashi's shliba payreach, it's like flying, a fluttering of a heart. Leisi tlasa berush yasa de saare. You should take 3 loaves of of barley. V'nishtarinhu bekamcha. You should soak it in this kutach bekamcha, which is like a kutach dip. That didn't pass upon it 40 days, which is how long it takes to make into kutach. V'nechel v'nishtin abasrayu chamar marka. You should eat, and then afterwards you should drink wine, which is Rashi's mozug b'mayim harbe, which is heavily diluted with water. You do that. Says Rashi, shedevarim chaloshim hein. Kol elu. This is going to weaken your heart. So Amalei ana liyukur deliba amri. I was referring to someone, says Rashi, shalibu kaved Allah, someone who has a heavy heart. Lapircha deliba lace. When it comes to someone who has a fluttering heart, instead lacy tlas burish yasa. You should take 7 loaves dechite of wheat. V'nish tirinhu beduvsha, and put it with honey. V'nechel, and eat it. V'nishti al basrayu chamra chaya. Then after you should drink chamra chaya, this like raw wine. L'tzircha, Rashi says, what's l'tzircha deliba? Kaiv halev. Again, someone who has a sad heart. So lacy tlas beye ninya. You should take 3 eggs, ninya mint, ubeasa de kamoina, and again these 3 egg, ubeasa de shum shemishe, and also from sesame. L'koiv meye, someone who has a difficult stomach, lacy tlas meya pilpule arich. You should take 300 long peppers. The whole yom every day. Nishti meya minayhu b'chamra. You should drink 100 of these together with wine. Ravin demin narash avidla lebrate de Rav Ashi. So he was preparing for a wedding. Meya v'chamshin mahadi didan. 150 v'itzaya, and they were healed. Regarding lakirtza, Rashi says toloyim shibimayim, someone who literally has worms in their stomach. So anpika dechamra bi'atrafa da'ara, says Rashi. All shall eitz. There was referring. You should take these leaves which come from wood. L'kirtza chivra, regarding that, lacy bizra, a person should take cabbage seed, galgila, v'nitzara b'shishtag, and you should, Rashi says, yiksharena b'chatichas beged shel tzemergaf, and you should tie it up together with pieces of wool, of cotton garment, v'nitayre b'maya, and soak it with water, v'nishtain, drink. Nizdai, you should be careful, mi bein ta, from its kernels. Ti'ilo menakva lemiyane. So again, you have to be careful with this part, where it can be a side effect. L'meisar, says Rashi, atzar es hashilshul, to be able to stop someone who has diarrhea. So sisin retiva b'maya. You should take pennyroyal and put it in water. Rashi says poil oil, so it sounds like penny oil a little bit. L'mishra, which is l'shalshel adam atzur. So in this situation, which is, so a person should be able to go to the bathroom, someone who is constipated. So yevshta b'maya, you should be dried up with water. The simana to remind ourselves of the proper thing to do if you're constipated or you have too much, you're too regular. Itza retiva the sachar nahara, that itza retiva, which is the name of a grass, will clog up a river. Okay. Regarding latachala, someone who says Rashi shetachal shaloi, his spleen nafuach v'gadol machmas chayli, has expanded and it's growing because of the sickness. Olesi shave bini demai. You should take 7 leeches, alukois, Rashi says, that are of the water. Yav shinhu betula, and it should be dried up in the shade. Every day, nishti tarti tolas b'chamra. You should drink 2 or 3 with wine. Ilo lesi tachala datsi parta. A person should take this special spleen, the lo iftach, that has not been opened, says Rashi, in eiz shel yalda, referring to a goat that has not given birth. V'nitachya b'tanura, you should press into an oven. V'naiki b'hadei, you should stay nearby. Rashi says, yamad kenegdoi. The name you should say, ki heichadi yavish hai tachala, just like this spleen dried up. Niavish tachalia deploini bar ploinisa. Vilo, if you don't do that, nidchaya beini urve de besa, then you should put it, Rashi says, yatiach ois b'koisel, you should put it by the wall of your house, chad tanu, b'nei you should say the same thing, that just like it dried up, so too, my spleen should get dried up, which means smaller. The elo, if you don't do that, livke shichva shichva, says Rashi, yitrach, you should trouble yourself ad sheyeda hechen yesh meis shemeis b'Shabbos, to find out someone who died on Shabbos. Shichva deshacha b'Shabbata, v'nishkele liyadei, v'noisva atachale, you should go to them, v'nema kihecha diyavish hayada, just like this hand dried up because he died, niyavish tachalia, the ploni bar plonisa, so too my spleen should get dried up. V'ilo nese binisa, you should take a fish, v'nitve be navcha, and it should be roasted, binisa Rashi is a dog, by the be navcha. It should be brought with coals in front of a blacksmith. V'nechli b'maya de be navcha, and you should consume it with water at this place where the blacksmith is. V'nishti b'maya de be navcha, and you should also drink water from that same place. Hahi iza, there was this goat, dehavish shas yamaya de be navcha, that was drinking water by this blacksmith. Ishtachit lo ishtachach latachala. So they basically opened it up and they did not even notice a spleen because it shrunk. Ve'ilo liftach chavisa. If you don't do that, liftach chavisa the chamra lishmei. So you should do. Open up a barrel of wine. Fine. Armle ravacha berei the Rav Ravashi. Islay chavisa the chamra. If I had a barrel of wine, well, asil kamei demar, I would never have come to you. It would have healed him. Ela maragel bepas shachris. You should be accustomed to eating bread in the morning. Demalia l'kuli gufe, because that is something which is good for your whole body. Okay. Rush chasa, Rashi says taktainiais, someone who has hemorrhoids. So leisi akika, Rashi is aseb. You should bring some type of herb. Some say it's acacia herb. Ve'il va, and aloe. Ve'aspircha, and some quicksilver. Umar tacha, which again is some type of ingredient as well. The chumrasa, the peeling, and a button. The shiafa, the chamimta. Rashi says, butoin shahanashim toilois b'tzavaran, they hang it around their neck of gold. Fine. The shiafa, the chamyasa, Rashi says, soyas yoinim. literally the waist of a bird, of these doves. The ninkat b'shach, you should gather it up. All Rashi says kolel, all these things. B'shachin, grind it. Dikinta, in a rag flax. B'kayata, in the summertime. V'da'amar gufna b'sisva, and you should take cotton which came from the winter. V'hilo lishti shichra marka, and if all that fails, then you can drink this type of beer. With shigruna, when the sun comes to shigroina, rashacholi hayorechayim, by the hips. So leisi pasya de munine. You should take a kli, which Rashi is a kli mole sir dogim katanim, which has like brine, fish brine. V'nigan direi shitin zimni. You should literally roll it 60 times. Aha matchase, on that hip. V'shisin zimni aha matchate. And again, 60 on the other hip. Fine. With smirta, when it comes to this next illness, which says, Evan hagedela begid v'oitzeres hashesen. You have like this stone, if you will, it's just growing in your skin, in your sinews. So nesi tlas nitoifiasa mishcha. A person should take 7 drops of this mishcha de kufra. Actually says soil shel zephes, the leftovers of tar, who itron, utlas nitoifiata itzra, and also itzra de carte. And you should also take this which is of leek, utlas nitoifiasa the chamra nikida, and you should take it from this chamra nikida, which is yain naki, clean wine. V'lishte leish ba'ama leisha ba'oiso makoim, and it should be put on either a man's ama, on his male member, or on a woman's member, in order to be able to alleviate this illness. The ilo, if that doesn't help the hemorrhoids, then leisi una de zika. You should take the handle of a flask. And it should either be put on the man's member or the woman's breast. Then you should take a red thread, duma bas duma, that is spun for duma bas duma, which is chut shel zahiris isha chashuda bas chashuda. Okay, v'lisle leil ish ba'amal isha b'dadim. That's where it should be hung. The ilo leisi kina, person should take like lice. The zachan akevav little ish ba'amal isha b'oisamakom. V'chim mashtin, when you drink nashtin asisna, you should drink yaveshta from a dry thorn bush. Bitzinor dedasha, by the doorway. When the ayin bechumrasa, that when a person has, let's find where we are in Rashi. And the ayin bechumrasa de nafkamine, says Rashi, he zahir be'evan hayotzis memenu l'shaimra. You have to be careful about this stone. The nafkim, when it comes to you, the malei l'kuli simra, that it will potentially affect illness like a fever. She says chayil shikayin fioria. Okay. Regarding with simra bara, which Rashi doesn't explain what that is, leisi tlasa garive sufle, a person should take 6 measures of sufle. Rashi is garini tamar, which is leftovers of dates. Utlasa garive atraf adra, and 3. Rashi says olin shel 8 shishmo eder, leaves of which are called eder. The nishlei kinhu kol chad lechuda, each one should be cooked separately. The leis binayihu, then it should be put in front of them. Was vinhu betarti meshichle, and they should be put into 2 containers. V'nesi pesaira, and it could then be put onto the table. V'nanach iluye, and then rest upon it. V'nekim me'iluye, hai l'oisiv ilui hai. Ilui hai l'oisiv ilui hai. The nesach be chavlan, until the vapor dissipates. And you wash with it. The adro lishte, when you drink from this water, you have to be careful, because this could make a person become incapable of having children. With simra, regarding the illness of simra, gavna, which is an internal fever, Lacey Shiva Buni de Silka, you should take 7 fistfuls of beets, Mishay Mishare, from 7 rows, Venishle Kinhu Bafraihu, and it should be cooked in its ashes, Venechel, eat it, Venishte Atraf Adra Bishichra. A person should drink it together with this type of beer. As we continue to Daf Ayin, Inve Talwa B'mayim. It should be, Rashi says, Inve Gefen, which is these vines, grapes, that grow by the date palm tree. Regarding Lacha Zaziasa, Rashi says, Yalefes, someone who has a blister, Lacey Shev Chite Arzinyasa, a person should take 7 wheat, which Rashi says Chitin Gasin, large pieces of wheat, Niklinhu amara, and he should put it on a shovel, Chadata, which is new, Benafik Mishcha Minaihu Beneshuf, and he should take, Rashi says this again, this new shovel, metal, the Neshav Yimshach, and it should be smeared there. Rav Shimi Barashi Abed Leilahu Oivikachavim Ladavar Acher V'Yitzei. He actually did this for someone who had saras. Davar Acher, we're going to interpret as saras, Rashi says, and he actually was healed. Amar Shmuel Haiman Demachule Ba'alunchi de Parsoi, someone who was pierced with these spears from Persia, which is akin to the Samamaves, Michia Lochaya, certainly won't live. In the meanwhile, Nisvule Bisra Shmeina Agmure, that they should gather fatty meat on coals, V'chamer Chaya, and this wine. After the Chaya Porta, if he does this, then maybe he'll live a little bit. Umafkid Abese, and he'll have enough time to be able to tell his household any commands that are necessary for him to convey. Ad Kan.